Time to cover day 4 of the free D&D daily content. And honestly, the most exciting part about this is the free adventure that you get is Infernal Machine Rebuild. Now, there is a Adventure League module called Dues of the Dead, but I'm not really going to focus on that because Infernal Machine Rebuild is actually a really cool adventure, and I'm actually shocked I haven't covered it already in the past. So if you want to see what's going on with that adventure, stay tuned. What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and let's talk Dungeons and Dragons. So, if we jump over here to the remote play section of the D&D website, you can see here April 9th, D&D Adventures League, Dues of the Dead. Now, I did click and download it just to see what it was. It is another Tyranny of Dragons module. So I don't think I'm really going to focus on it because, again, we're talking about something that was made back in 2014, so the game has obviously improved quite a bit since then, and we've learned a lot. But the important thing is you could play this as a standalone adventure, Adventure League, or not, or you could add it on to the existing adventures that have already released and make a nice little campaign that'll get characters kind of introduced to D&D. And I just figured I'd jump to the end and see. Goggles of Night is the magic item. Nothing crazy. Let's jump back to the more important thing. So it is released here on the DM's Guild for free, or it's pay what you want. Infernal Machine Rebuild. It is a best platinum seller here on the DMG. It has 6 5-star ratings. You don't get to be a platinum seller if you don't sell a lot of copies. And it does actually have some really cool, unique things, and it's a very, very interesting story as well. So I actually happen to have it on D&D Beyond, so I thought it would be easier if I just went and talked about it over there. So you can see it's broken down into 4 different chapters. It does have appendices with NPCs and monsters. I don't believe there are new monsters. I know there are new specific magic items, though, so we'll definitely want to cover those. So if we check out the intro, what's really interesting is it ties into the Lost Laboratory of Kowalish, the one I've often referenced, which if you haven't checked out, I would definitely do so. Maybe I should do a review of that module. If you guys are unfamiliar, I would love to hear your comments or your thoughts in the comments below. But there are several unique spells and other unique magic items that are only contained in Lost Laboratory of Kowalish. So if you want to see what those are, I guess I could cover those in a future video. But this kind of, some of the stuff that happens in that module, or like the lore behind it, focuses on this. And it's basically some strange kind of far realm type ship crashes into the Barrier Peaks. Kowalish made it his laboratory, but he wasn't the only one, and it says, legends of this object grew, fell into the hands of a warlord, and became known as the most powerful artifact, the Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad, named after Baron Lum. And there's an interesting tie to it because Zariel, who's the archdevil of the first level of Avernus, obviously descended to Avernus, deals heavily with her. And Bell, who was the former leader of Avernus that was deposed by Zariel, kind of both want this thing. And what's also really interesting is this part right here, the who's who, like it deals with stuff. So obviously, if you know about Tomb of Horrors or you've played Tomb of Annihilation, you know of Sararak, the demi-lich who kind of you fight at the end of the module if things go a certain way. But this actually deals with interesting characters in here, which things I didn't know because I'm not too familiar with like 2E stuff and like super old D&D lore. But Tarnhem, Asarak's Baelor father, and Moghadam, the Tomb's architect, both who appeared in Return to Tomb of Horrors from 1998. But that's what like we're going to be talking about in this module. Temple of Moloch derives from the sample dungeon map appearing in the first edition DMG, and includes the famed statue of Moloch, which everybody knows. That's kind of the horn thing with the smiling kind of demon thing where they're popping the gems out of the eye. You guys know what I'm talking about. This version of the dungeon features Thessalar, a figure rumored to have created many of the game's strange monsters, including the Thessal Hydra, which first appeared in the first edition AD&D Monster Manual and the Stranger Things starter set. As for the centerpiece of this adventure, the artifact known as the Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad first appeared as Machine of Lum the Mad back in 1976 in D&D's original Supplement 3, Eldritch Wizardry. So you can see there's a lot of history in this module before we even start diving into what the actual content is. So I'm not going to really go too much in depth to this as we've discussed in the previous video, unless I'm really focusing heavily on this, which I guess I, in theory, could. Not a lot of people seem to be super interested in it. Also, this adventure has been out for a while, so it's not exactly new stuff. But what I do like is there are adventure hooks here that talk about how you could incorporate this and tie it into Lost Laboratory of Kowalish and continue from there, obviously Descent to Avernus, or even tying it to Dragon Heist or Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We have our nice little 5-chapter thing. Also heads up spoilers, obviously, if I'm going to talk about this, but Chapter 1, The Unicorn and the Hags. Traveling through Feywoods, the characters find themselves surrounded by dangerous, corrupted trees, rescued, quote, by a trio of hags disguised as dryads. The characters might choose to help them rid the woods of a supposedly evil unicorn. Alternatively, they might meet the unicorn, actually a good creature, under assault by the hags that need their help to fight back. Either way, they encounter a fallen clock tower holding mysterious magical components that can alter the flow of time. Chapter 2, An Invitation Extended. 2 agents, Lincrete Latch and Sir Ursus, compete to hire the characters onto an expedition. Both seek additional components to rebuild the fabled artifact, the Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad, and are looking to history to find them. Characters choose which 2 legendary locations in the ancient past to use as the starting point for their search of the components. Chapter 3, Construction of Horrors. Traveling to a distant past, the characters explore a version of the Tomb of Horrors still under construction. To obtain the missing components, they must contend with the tomb's artifact, Moghadam, and disrupt the evil ceremony that keeps a powerful Balor imprisoned. Chapter 4, Temple of Moloch. The characters explore the ancient Temple of Moloch, also known as the Laboratory of Thessalar, creator of numerous monsters. To obtain the components, they must contend with Thessalar, his lizard folk guards, and the temple's monstrous denizens. And then lastly, the final showdown is Chapter 5. They return to the present with any components recovered. The agent who receives the components installs them in their framework for Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad, while the other agent launches their raid to seize the machine. The characters are forced to determine who retains possession of this artifact. So that's kind of a main overview of everything here. But the appendices I do like because they show you an option if you want to alter or tweak things a little bit further. They give you options here. They talk about other interesting locations that you could use, stuff from Menzo Berenstain to places from Horde of the Dragon Queen, Prince of the Apocalypse. Obviously, Tomb of Annihilation is listed here. If they've got Frost Giant Jarl, White Plume Mountain, all stuff from Tales from the Yawning Portal. Additional NPCs, right? We've got a Sararak, obviously. Mary Grimalkin, who's from Lost Laboratory of Kowalish. And then Tourney the Merciless, I guess. I don't actually know who that is. I guess it's tied to Tomb of Annihilation. So that's Appendices 1. Then we have NPCs and monsters. I don't know if there's anything new. Let's look. This one might be Barbados, I guess. Let's see. Is it from, yeah, Infernal Machine Rebuild. So this is from this humanoid NPC from this. But I like that he's got a rust monster cloak. A non-magical weapon made of metal that corrodes like it normally would. He has the heart of a troll, so he regains hit points. I'm very curious what this character can do. And you can see he can do Cloak Sweep as a move to try to get somebody to activate the Rust Monster abilities there. The Demogorgon in quotes. Is this the same one that we have in the Stranger Things? No. Okay, so this is the Demo. Oh, look at this one. This is like an Etten, essentially. Okay, it's an Etten. It's a giant. Well, look at the little mustache on this dude. So what can he do? He is unique. He's got Fire Breath and Cold Breath, and a Gaze ability. So a slightly improved, more dangerous Etten. Very cool. So Neo Otyugh is new. It looks like it's got spellcasting now, improved hit points, improved armor class, just improved everything in general. That's new to Infernal War Machine, or Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad, rather. or rather, Infernal Machine Rebuild is the name of the adventure. These all look like they are, yep. I think everything here is, until we get down to the second hair, we have the Thessalheart Construct. This is new, but it's a challenge rating 0, nothing too crazy. The Thessal Hydra exists in the Stranger Things starter set, so that's not really new. But these last two are the two-headed crocodile, which obviously doesn't do too much. Let's see, one can be asleep while the other is awake. It has advantage on perception checks and on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, and knocked unconscious because it has 2 heads, has 2 bite attacks, and then we have a two-headed owlbear, which has its own unique art, which I feel like this owlbear looks even more adorable than your standard owlbear. Let's see. Has all the 2-headed things. It can make 3 attacks, 2 with its beaks and 1 with its claws because it has 2 heads. Everything else is pretty standard. So let's jump back here. All right, so new magic and special items. So I went through this to take a look. So the new Ioun Stone here, Ioun Stone of Vitality. Ioun Stones are not new. They've been in the DMG, but this one is the Ioun Stone of Vitality. You get a +1 bonus to death saving throws while this luminous green and blue marbled sphere orbits your head. That seems like a pretty big waste of an attunement slot and an Ioun Stone to just get +1 bonus to death saving throws. We have this new poison, right? Blood of the Lycanthrope. This poison is created from blood harvested from a dead or incapacitated lycanthrope in its animal or hybrid form. You must make a DC 12 con save or be cursed with lycanthropy. And the options are were-rat, werewolf, and were-boar. I think Dust of the Mummy is old, I believe. Yeah, that's not original here. And then obviously they're going to show you, I think Thessal Toxin is, or that may be in, I think Thessal Toxin may be in Stranger Things. But anyway, creatures subjected to this poison must make a DC 15 con save or be affected by polymorph. They are a random beast or creature they have seen within the past 24 hours as determined by the DM. It lasts until their next long rest. If their effect is not subject to Dispel Magic or Remove Curse, but a Greater Restoration spell restores the creature to its original form. This is a very powerful poison because the save is relatively low, but it's a polymorph spell that lasts till their next long rest as opposed to the normal hour. And then it's going to have a couple other spells here. The spells are not new. These are just ones that are not in the player's handbook, so they'll be referenced here again. Obviously, there's an antidote for Blood of the Lycanthrope. That's pretty simple. It removes lycanthropy. That's a new thing we have there. The Bridle of Capturing apparently was in this. I thought this was originally the stuff that makes a nightmare be bound to you, but that's separate. So this fine leather bridle tugs at the hand when first held as if it longs to reach out to a beast nearby. When you hold one end of the bridle, you can use an action to speak a command word, causing the other end to lash out towards a beast within 20 feet of you. The target must succeed on a DC 17 Charisma save, or the bridle tie itself around its neck, then fall under your command as if subjected to the Dominate Beast spell. Once a target is affected, you do not need to hold the other end of the bridle to command it. With a successful saving throw, the target is immune to the bridle's power until the next dawn. A creature controlled by the bridle can be released by the creature that is bound as a bonus action. The creature controlled by the bridle can make a DC 17 Charisma check each day at dawn. On a success, it is no longer affected. So this is similar to the kind of chains or whatever they are from Descent into Avernus that let you bind a nightmare to your well, but this lets you do it on any beast. It's not limited to challenge rating. So, and I mean, let's be honest, most beasts don't have a super high charisma. So a DC 17 Charisma saving throw is pretty hard to beat, considering Dominate Beast is normally a Wisdom saving throw. And this they get to make every day. So in theory, you could possibly bind a creature to you almost indefinitely with this, which is pretty sweet. Claws of the Umber Hulk were in Princes of the Apocalypse. Helm of Underwater Action is in the DMG. Paper Birds in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Pot of Awakenings in Xanathars. The Ruin Blade is a new one. This is a legendary greatsword possessed by Moghadam. Oh, you know what? Do we have a pronunciation guide for this guy's name? We don't. But that's what he looks like. Kind of looks like Junkrat from Overwatch. Let's see. A symbol of his authority, he carries the weapon during the time frame of the adventure to intimidate the tomb's workers. In later years, after Asarek trapped him in the completed tomb as an undead archwraith, he is able to use the weapon as his own phylactery. Small jade version of a green devil face of the Tomb of Horrors is fashioned into the hilt of the weapon, with a blade extending from its mouth. +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls. When you hit an undead creature with this, it deals an extra 1d8 force damage and has the following properties. You can cast a Blight spell from the weapon with a DC 15 once until the next dawn. You can cast Disintegrate from this weapon, but can only target a non-magical object or a creation of magical force. That's interesting, so you can't disintegrate creatures with it. Curse. This weapon is cursed. Becoming attuned to it extends its curse to you. Until the curse is broken with a removed curse or similar magic, you are unwilling to part with the weapon. The weapon must take direct part in the destruction of 1,000 gold pieces worth of materials and objects every 7 days, or a conflict arises between you and the weapon at the end of the 7th day. It is sentient. It has hearing and dark vision out to a range of 120 feet. It can speak, read, and understand common and communicate with its wielder telepathically. Its voice is a rough, ruined echo. While attuned to it, Runeblade also understands every language you know. It speaks with a dolorous or frenetic tone, depending on its mood. Its mood improves when the sword is actively engaged in acts of destruction. The weapon's purpose is to ruin and unmake existing objects so its owner can rebuild the world from a blank slate. And I think the only other item in here, spell gems were in Out of the Abyss, Vessel, Toxin, Antidote, that makes sense. Alright, is the Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad itself. This strange device was once thought to be built by the gods, long forgotten, has survived eons since their passing. It's a delicate, intricate, bulky, and heavy device weighing some 5,500 pounds. It can be operated using a control panel containing 60 levers, 40 dials, 20 switches, and a number of jeweled components. Silver wire. Its great size makes it largely immobile. To make ongoing use of the machine, it can be connected to its attuned user by a silver wire, a supply of which can be produced from the machine's inner working. The silver wire shares the same general nature as the silvery cord of an astral projection spell, connecting the body of the user and trailing behind them. When so attached, the wire becomes invisible, astral, and extends to virtually infinite length. As long as the wire remains intact, the attuned user can make full use of its powers, with their effects centered around the user. If the wire is cut, something can happen. Something can only happen when an effect specifically states that it cut an astral projection silvery cord. The user suffers a sudden burst of feedback from the machine that kills them instantly. That's pretty similar to what happens with astral projection anyway. Any of the effects require concentration, can be concentrated on by a remote user. Its effects have a spell save DC of 14, or the attuned user spell save DC, whichever is higher. When first attuned by Baron Lum, it was known for its ability to unleash terrible monsters. Specific combinations of its controls will create the various spells. So, once a day, conjure animals or conjure lesser demons. Once every 7 days, conjure minor elementals, conjure woodland beings, summon greater demon, and once a month, conjure elemental and conjure fae. Wish. The Infernal Machine has the ability to bend the nature of reality with a proper combination of controls, creating the effects of a wish spell. Due to the complex nature of its programming, the feature can only be used once a month. Each time it's affected, it's a cumulative 10% chance of the machine malfunctioning, necessitating 7 days worth of repairs and reprogramming, as well as an expenditure of 500 gold pieces. When the repairs are done, the cumulative chance of malfunction returns to 10%. And then there are random properties. I guess these are artifact random properties. At the end of each long rest, the user is attuned to it. The Infernal War Machine gets 1d4 plus 1 random beneficial properties and 1d4 plus 1 detrimental properties. Each roll for each of these properties. Oh, on the table below, the Infernal Machine properties. The DM, to keep things interesting, the DM might roll secretly for detrimental properties, revealing those properties only during the course of play. Once set, these properties last until the end of the attuned user's next long rest. Our thanks to the D&D community for the suggestions for the properties. Very cool. And then to destroy it, it is rumored that if one specific combination of controls is set, it will enter a repair mode, allowing unfettered access to its inner workings and preventing it from restoring itself if it is attacked. Alternatively, other combinations of controls might cause the Infernal Machine to teleport its most critical components to some hiding space deep in space and time, rendering it inoperable until the components are found again. And then we have 100 options here for beneficial and detrimental properties. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one because that would take me reading literally 200 different options here. But we'll scroll through a little bit and we'll see what we find. I like this one. You have the first one here. You have a flying speed of 150 feet, but you lose all other movement, so you can only fly. Here's this one. Unless you go naked, roll a d4 each time you're attacked and subtract the number rolled from your AC. Let's see. You can cast Legend Lore spell 3 times. Let's see. During combat, Magnetic Aura. This is a cool thing. Again, these are also, I would say you could take these and look at these as ways to improve your own magic items in your game or make unique features or class things. Cool stuff. The first time during a combat that a creature attacks you with a metal weapon, the creature has disadvantage on the attack roll because you're radiating a magnetic aura. Your fingers can be used as tinker's tools or lockpicks. You grow a unicorn horn, or you summon a unicorn that obeys your commands. You get a +1 bonus to insight checks. Your body is ghostly and translucent. You have vulnerability to radiant damage. Disadvantage on attack rolls while in direct sunlight. Let's see. Simple stuff, just like +1 bonuses. Cure Wounds restores no hit points for you. Only Cure Wounds, so like Healing Word would work. +1 to initiative. You're unable to hear any speech louder than a whisper. An exact duplicate of you appears next to you, dressed as you, but lacking any gear. It functions as a familiar and has the statistics of a cat. So this looks like you, but it has these stats. That's kind of funny. This is another one. It's the exact same thing. It loudly tries to convince all other creatures that it is you, and you are its familiar. If it destroys, it reappears in 1d4 hours. You have 1 luck point as the lucky feat. When you drop to 0 hit points, Warden Canaan's Faithful Hound Phantom Guardian protects you. The Guardian disappears if you die, regain hit points, or regain consciousness. Your body is covered in feathers. You benefit from non-detection all the time. That's pretty solid. A dozen small frogs constantly follow you around chirping. Again, these would be great kind of like trinkets too. You know whether anybody's lying. Your shadow becomes an undead shadow that shares your alignment and is under your control. That's really cool. Your shadow behaves disapprovingly whenever you're not looking, stealing things, mocking you behind your back. So this is kind of like a Peter Pan thing here. Flowers turn to face you as you pass them. Mundane animals can't look at you. Whenever you roll a 1 on a d20, you have advantage on your next d20 roll. And then the opposite, you have disadvantage if you roll a 1. Daylight spell 3 times. Disadvantage on perception checks. Telepathy out to 120 feet. A rain cloud follows you around, drizzling on you constantly. Let's see. Whenever you roll a 20 on a d20, you can immediately end one effect on you. Whenever you roll a 1 on a d20, you're blinded until the end of your next turn. You summon a slithering tracker that obeys your commands. You take on the appearance of having translucent skin, with your bones and organs slightly visible. That's pretty disgusting. You can cast Haste on yourself 3 times. Each time you're reduced to 0 hit points and stabilized, you suffer the slow effect, or the slow spell. You can cast Healing Word 3 times. Disadvantage on perception checks while indoors. You can touch, what does it say? Your touch can change small non-magical objects into chocolate. Let's see. Modify memory spell once. What's 100? All creatures of a particular type other than humanoid are incapable of acting hostile towards you as long as you do not attack, threaten, or provoke them. Or, whenever you meet a creature of a particular type other than humanoid, there is a 1% cumulative chance that the Tarrasque is magically summoned within 1 mile of you. The Tarrasque has no knowledge of your existence and runs amok for 1d6 times 10 minutes, and then magically returns to its previous location. So that is pretty kind of crazy. And let's see, is there anything else? And then I think there's just player handouts here at the end. So right, we've got a map here. See our Eidolon here. Some art here, some old, looks like almost 2E, 1E art. Here's the old stuff here. And then there's a trinket here. Piece of the Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad. Once operated via its various vast buttons of arrays, levels, blah, blah, blah. It has been dismantled and lies scattered throughout the world. Who knows what function this piece control? This appears as a jeweled button marked with a mysterious glyph hung from a delicate chain. So it doesn't actually do anything. It's a trinket, but there you go. So anyway, folks, that is coverage of day 4 of the free content from Dungeons & Dragons. Again, it's really just Infernal Machine of Lum the Mad, in my opinion. They did release, like I said, Dues for the Dead, but I didn't really feel like covering the Adventure League adventure because the old ones are kind of dry, I would say. But this one is really cool. Plus, unique magic items are always cool, and unique monsters. So again, even if you don't plan on running the adventure, which is very cool, and if you like D&D history and lore, or you've played Tomb of Annihilation, or you're looking for some sort of like one-shot, this could be a really fun time. So I would recommend that. Plus, again, it's free. I know it's free on the DMs Guild. I would go check it out. I know they were having issues with downloads. I think that's been resolved. If you download it, you'll have it in PDF, so you can't worry about it like being free access on D&D Beyond or Roll20 and then them taking it away down the road. You download the PDF, you have it forever. So there you go. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little coverage on that. And we do know at this point what the 5th day is. It is Encounters in Saltmarsh, and no other secondary piece. But this is similar to what we did with Encounters in Avernus. This is with Saltmarsh encounters, so ship encounters and things that will be useful in that adventure. I'll cover that in the next video. So thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't taken a chance to subscribe to the channel, now would be a great time to do so. And if you want to stay up to date with things like this and my other videos, you can ring that notification bell. Also, I wanted to take this time to also shout out to all of my patrons, because we do now have a Patreon page. And you can thank all of them for voting what the next top 10 video should be. So coming this Tuesday, top 10 magic items from D&D 3.5 that I'd like to see brought into 5th edition. If you join the Patreon, you can vote on what the next video topics are to help me figure them out. So that's just a cool feature you can get for that. So once again, thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon, and I will see you all next time.